Thank you for taking the time to look at the mortgage broker program and welcome. My name's Linda and I'll partner with you for the equipment leasing. Here's a big overview so you have a bit of an idea. It's available to new and existing businesses. Terms typically are 24 months to 72 months. The 72 months is mostly reserved for new equipment. The rates will vary just like your mortgages from approximately 7% up to subprime 24 and up. The leasing works on factors. So we try to work on the payment with the client so they can afford the payment and it's not constantly causing cash flow issues. And the minimum lease will be up from $5,000 up to about 1.5 and up. I've done more than that, but it's takes a lot of work. So if you do have a big deal, please make sure you call me first. A bit of other information is it usually requires a 5 to 15% down payment, except on sale leasebacks, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Seasonal payments are really perfect for industries such as the agricultural, farmer industries, maybe golf courses, landscaping companies that work primarily in the summer. Buyouts for a lease will range from $1 or $10 or $100 is typical, but if we're finding that the payment is just a little too much, I'll talk to the lenders and see if we can increase the buyout. And if the client can't afford the buyout at the time, then they can take out a small lease on a shorter term just to finish up the lease and make sure that their cash flow is still intact. Taxation for leasing is really advantageous. So if I make 12 payments at $1,000, I have a $12,000 immediate write-off with Revenue Canada or the corporation, where if I'm using CCA, capital cost allowance, Revenue Canada tells me I can write off my equipment over 10, 20, 30 years. So a lot of tax savings there, and of course, speak with an accountant. And we'll service most of Canada, so if you have clients in other locations in different provinces, that's not a problem for us. We can service everyone. Quebec gets a little bit iffy. Ways that you could use leasing is work with the end user or buyers, get referrals from sellers. So if you know someone who's selling their equipment, let them know that, hey, if you have someone who wants to buy it and they are going to be getting financing, just let them give me a shout and I'll see if I can set them up with some financing. We also like working with the vendor who sells the equipment. So if your connections has people in that space or you want to market to those people, we can set out and put together in-house leasing programs. So the real benefit to them is if they made a deal with Frank and he went to a bank and he got declined, a lot of times the deal goes south for that vendor. So when working with a company like us, a lot of deals close because we just have a lot of more access to different lending. Same as with you with mortgages. So it's not a one box fits only a few. A sale leaseback is if someone owns equipment and it's almost paid off or paid off and they're looking for maybe working capital, wanting to do equipment repairs. Semi trucks are very expensive to repair. That would be a good example, or some industrial equipment. Or they want to make another equipment purchase and they're trying to come up with that 10% down. So we can refinance their existing equipment through a sale leaseback and they can use the funds as they see fit for their business. Now for lenders, we work with over 20 or so different lenders, and some of the brokers are restricted to volume, and so you have to qualify for that type of different lending. Industries we serve would be transportation, construction, Almost every industry, veterinarians, dentists, med spas, their equipment is very expensive also. And so if you do have opportunities, we pretty much service every opportunity that you can find. Restaurants, you'll definitely want to call me first so we can discuss what they're looking for and make sure that we can give them a hand. They're the harder one to place. Paperwork. When you work with us, I'll work with you to do the paperwork. And so it's a signed credit application of ours, a void check from the buyer, a void check to pay the vendor or the seller, the ID, and a bill of sale of what they're buying. So it's a little easier. Sometimes we'll definitely need financial statements or their T1 general for proof of ability to pay back. So we collect the documents for approval. The approval goes ahead, and then we go, yeah, we're going to do the deal. It goes to documents, and funding is typically in 1 or 2 days. The vendors get first, then we get paid. Once I see the payment come through to the bank account, the accounting team already would have your invoice, and they would pay you the same day unless it's very late in the day. And the commissions. So the deals will go between 2 and 7%. It will depend on asset type, the credit, etc. And so how I prefer to work it is 70% of the commission will go to you, 30% will come to us. And just as an aside to keep in mind, you can just refer the person and you'll still get the same amount. If you want us to handle and be the direct connect with the customer, that's fine with us, whatever works for you. And ways to market. If you're doing emails already, it's just perfect to put the email and a bit of information about, hey, I'm all offering business financing solutions. Or you can do a direct email specifically for that. Networking has been very popular and a good source of clients through BNI groups, the chamber groups, or other networking events and groups that you might work with. And of course, the social media posts letting your followers know that, hey, I've added on a new financing tool. If you're in business or know someone in business looking to finance their equipment, make sure that they give me a call and I'll see what I can do for them. So I found that the easiest way is if you have a potential deal, give me a call. We'll go through it. It takes 5 minutes or less, and then we can go from there and get the paperwork signed. If you prefer emailing or you just have a general question and or you have a deal that we've talked about, you can send it to info@accessleasing.ca and provide a short story if you're just looking for some information. So that's leasing in a nutshell. And of course, we can do some business loans. But if you do have questions, as always, easiest just to give me a shout or shoot me an email. Thank you and have a great day.